Today we're going to talk about how to handle non-paying customers, okay? Those customers that refuse to pay you or decide that, well, the money is just better off in their pocket instead of yours. Those are the ones we're going to talk about today. Anyone who's been in business for a while has come across this. If you've been in business for any time at all, you've generally come across this. I have come across this many times. I have been in many different business situations and I've had it happen. So below are actually some stories that I'm going to tell you about. I'm going to take them one at a time, beginning with this one. There is the right way and the wrong way to handle things, okay? There's two ways to handle them. Now you can do it the right way, which is the way, according to authorities, the authorities tell you the best way is just to try and work it out with the individual, which I agree with. I believe that you should try and talk with them. If they owe you money, you've performed a service for them, whether it's mowing, landscaping, whatever it might be, and they don't want to pay you, by all means sit and try and talk it out with them, right? The authorities would tell you to do that. And then, if that doesn't work, then the authorities would like for you to take them to court, okay? So, you can do that. You can take them to court, and it costs you money to take them to small claims court. And if it's a small amount, generally under $5,000. But if it's over that, now you have to hire a lawyer and you're going to have a lot of expenses with him. So, or her, whoever you happen to hire. So, at the end of the day, if everything goes right and many years later, you may end up with a judgment against them and be able to put a lien on their house or something. And that judgment, you might as well take and wipe your ass with it because that's about what it's good for. Okay, my father rents houses out, and he's got so many judgments against people. He's got toilet paper to last him the rest of his life. So that's one way of handling it. There's the authorities' way, as I said, or there's George's way. I happen to take a different approach. Now, I want you to know that I've never done any of these things that I'm about to tell you. So therefore, please don't take matters into your own hands because it just wouldn't be right. Okay, that being said, first, of course, go talk to them. Try and work it out. Fix whatever's wrong. Whatever they think is wrong that you didn't do, even if you gotta bite the bullet a little bit, sometimes you just have to do this. You just have to go in there and say, okay, I get it, I got it, you're right, even though they're not, and you know they're not, okay? But regardless, it's still better. You're still better off to go in and try and work things out, even if it takes you a little bit of time and you got to go back and maybe redo something because it wasn't just exactly right. I've done it. They change your mind even though they told you a certain way and you had to go back in there and you had to redo it, but it's still worth it so you don't have to go through all the legal crap, right? That's first thing. Give them a deadline. Tell them, look, I've fixed everything you told me to fix. I need to get paid. If I'm not paid by the end of the week, shit's going to hit the fan. Okay? Leave it at that. Try not to be too specific about it. So, after you've done that, still doesn't work, you still haven't given you the money, then do what I like to call a midnight roundup ride. Okay? That's where you just fill up a container or a backpack sprayer, those work better, you can get more in them, and then just head out to the property, put on your black ninja suit, and mask, of course, because now everybody's got cameras. Make sure you do that. Also, it would behoove you, look up that word, behoove. I don't even know if that's a word, but I've heard it many times, so it must be. It would behoove you to put some sort of black cover over the top of that container. Therefore, you are just black. You just blend right into the darkness. Hence, the midnight roundup run. Then, you go over to their beautiful lawn and make damn sure that you douse everything thoroughly with Roundup. Thoroughly. Okay? And then, of course, you're going to want to come back in a week or so to make sure it worked, because if it didn't work and they got rain shortly afterwards, you always got to pay attention to the weather, then you might have to come back and do it twice. And you never want to do things twice. You want to do the job correctly the first time around. Okay? That's one way to handle it. Second way would be paintballs filled with real paint. Now, again, I've never done this, But apparently all you need is a syringe with a needle, and you can suck out the gelatin stuff that's inside those things and replace it with actual paint. Okay? And, of course, it put a little super glue on the hole where the needle comes out, just a dab on there to seal that up. And then fill your hopper full. They work great on houses, outhouses, buildings, you know, their garages and things like that. Their vehicles. It works fantastic on vehicles. They really love that paint on there. Pick a bright colored paint. You definitely want something bright. You don't want mauve, look up that word, mauve, as a color, right? You don't want beige as a color. You want like hot pink, right? That's what I'm thinking, hot pink, or perhaps green, like this. Maybe that would work good. I don't know. Anyway, after you do that, the other thing you can do is take aircraft paint remover. Awesome, awesome stuff. With that, you're going to have to be a little bit creative because that stuff is wicked. Once again, I've never done it. However, you can put it on with a brush. And you just simply walk up to the vehicle. You can even put this in I would recommend putting it in one of those little small, little hand pump ones. And little sprayers, and then just come up and just douse it. That works better yet. And just douse the vehicles and the siding on the house. It works great for that kind of stuff too, I hear. And make sure you come back the next day to take photographs, because it looks like a porcupine came out, because that paint just goes like that. Super awesome stuff. Alright, what else can you use? Oh, definitely. Quick little story about this. Two guys ran into a parking lot one time for a guy that they had been following, and they were going to fix him. So they came up with knives, and after the guy left the vehicle, they just took it. Now, the key here is to have knives that don't fold up on you. A nice sturdy knife. And then you jab the tires with them, right? Jab the sidewalls. Don't jab them in the treads or anything like that. Just in the sidewall. And as soon as you pull that knife out, you're going to hear this coming out of that tire. Alright? One of the guys in this story didn't have a good grip on the knife. Knife went flying across the parking lot. They had to run around looking for the knife because they were afraid they were going to get it and the fingerprints would be on the knife. I don't know if they'd even check for fingerprints, but if they did something like that, sure enough they were there. Them two clowns ran around for like 5 minutes when 4 tires were going huge, way louder than that noise. Okay, but once again, it wasn't me. Alright, what would be the next thing that they would do? Let's see. Baseball bats. I prefer aluminum. I love baseball bats. They're non-porous versus wood. Okay. Wood, for example, will hold glass particles. Okay. So, like say if it were to accidentally hit a windshield or a side window or tail lights or headlights or anything of that nature, or even house windows. Okay, so you want to use a bat that is aluminum. And the other thing that you should always remember, and make sure you pay attention to this one, this is a very important tip that you have to know if you're going to use a bat. Take whatever pair of shoes that you had on when you took a bat to this glass, that you throw those shoes out. So make it an old pair of shoes and don't throw them out at your place in the garbage can. You throw them out going down the road. Okay? Because, sure as shit, the police will be at your door. They confiscate your shoes. You know why? There's glass particles more than likely in those shoes, which can be construed as evidence. So therefore, make damn sure you use a piece of shit shoes, and when you're done with them, out the window on your way home. Okay. Once again, I've never done that. Alright, what else could you do? I've heard of guys doing this. They take an M80 in a retaining wall, and they just simply stick it in. They chip out a little piece with a little ball peen hammer, and they stick it in there, and they just light it, and especially nice tall walls. Now, I never wanted the big bang, so what I would always do is I've heard what people do is just take a sledgehammer, and they take it and they will Of course, you don't want to do it up on top of the wall. You want to do it somewhere way down below, like on the first couple of tiers, and just slam them babies like you're golfing, like you're just trying to send it. And you bust those way down on the bottom, because you know what's going to happen with that retaining wall, right? All that weight, as soon as them give way, it's like crack, 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 crack. It pretty soon it's like a spider crack. It's just all over the place. Yeah. All right, brings back memories, brings a tear to my eye, actually. All right, anyway, early on I've heard of guys taking ultra fine sand. It has to be very fine sand. It can't be just your regular play sand. It's got to be very, very fine sand. And that can go into gas tanks. And it wreaks havoc because the filters won't pick it up because it is so fine, and you will never get it out of there. You will never get it out. It plugs jets and stuff, and it's a freaking nightmare. All right, people do that. Now, one of the old things that used to be done back in the old days, still works today, are the brad nails in the driveway. Well, brad nails have big heads on them. So what happens is, as the tire rolls up over it, it flips those things up. And when it flips them up, of course, they go into the tire, right? Go down the road, tink-a-link, tink-tink, psh, psh. Okay? What's the important thing to remember here about nails? Nails work. For example, if it's a driveway that's made out of like granite, right? Kind of a reddish color, then you have to mix your paints, okay? These go in the paint and you let them dry so that they cannot be seen. Now, what happens if it's an asphalt driveway? Well, that's easy too. You get black paint, flat, not that shiny glossy stuff, but flat. You don't want anything shimmering. And you put that in the paint, take them out, use a strainer, get all the paint off them, let them dry, and throw them into the driveway. Why? Because they blend into the surroundings. We don't want them to see them coming. We just want them to go, right? Okay, good. All right, next thing. This has also been known to happen. I know people that have been at people's houses and put in landscape jobs and sat underneath this beautiful shade tree that these people have taken care of for years, and it's groomed up so nice and so beautiful, and they tell you the story about how they planted it when they moved in there together 30 years ago. The key there is when you look at that tree, it's the notch. It's where you put the notch in the tree, okay? What I would do is, again, I would never do this actually, but what I've heard is being done is people come up and knock on the door, and when no one's home, why then the other person just comes up there and of course, using the whole face mask thing, but they will come up and they'll notch the tree. Now that's very critical. So for example, if the house is over here, I'm going to want my notch on the back side of this great big tree, right? Because it's got to be, you got to be like, where's the wind? You got to make sure that notch is right. And then when you come to this side of the tree, you just zip, right? Make sure it's a valuable tree, one that they cherish very much. So listen when you're on the landscape job so you know what they cherish and what they don't. All right. All right, what's the next thing? Oh, I got to tell you about this one. This one I actually did do. My father, who I told you earlier, has rental properties. Well, there were these one group of people that bailed out in the middle of the night, and because they were being evicted anyway. And I went over to help my dad, and we opened up the garage door, this big overhead door. It was filled with diapers, baby diapers, garbage. These pieces of shit never paid to have the garbage taken away or anything, and they had been there for a couple of years, and all they did was fill that garage full of it, right? So, lucky for me, I found out who these people were, and my dad knows nothing of this. I decided to go over and find them. But prior to that, what I did is I got my dump trucks and I brought them over there, and I used a skid steer and I filled them up with all their garbage and their diapers and stuff, and then I went to their house. Now get this story. I knock on the door because I want him to come out, because I want him to tell me where he wants his garbage, right? The woman opens the door and she kind of opens it about this far, and she's looking through there, and she's just like, "Can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, can I talk to your husband?" "Okay, I'll get him." She shuts the door. Husband, I hear him coming down these stairs because they were living upstairs in this apartment thing. I hear him come down, and he opens the door. Same thing, about this far. As soon as he saw it was me, he knew who I was because I had been there with my dad doing stuff or whatever. And he goes to shut the door, and I kicked the bottom of that door, and I hit the guy in the face, and his nose just went, and he called the police on me, and I'm like, I told him, I said, here's your garbage, buddy. I backed that dump truck up, dumped all that shit right on his fucking front door, right? Cops came, ended up getting a ticket for that. It was assault to begin with. And then it got dropped down to disorderly conduct. I had to pay a fine for that, and I think I sat a week for that one. But that one I actually did do. All right, what else? Let's see. That kind of leads me to the last thing, which is just a good old-fashioned ass whooping. You know, just you got to find them in public kind of a thing, because you don't want to do that at their house, because you'll get in trouble. What you would be better off doing is finding them somewhere, like a parking lot, like a Walmart, for example. Let's go to Walmart, find them, and just whoop their ass. And every time you see them, whoop their ass. And let them know that until you pay that bill, every time I find you, I'm going to whoop your ass. I don't care if it's at a Walmart. I don't care if it's at a county fair. I don't give a shit if it's in church. As soon as you walk out of that church, you're going to get an ass whooping. Because you don't want to do it in church. That's for damn sure. All right. Anyway, I do have a solution for you guys. One thing that actually a YouTuber guy actually told me that he did this, and I incorporated it into my contracts as well. So I've never had to use it yet, but it sounds right. So what he told me is, he said, when you get your half down, you write right in your contract that this half down that you're getting is for labor only. Write that in your contract. Okay? So you need half down before you start the job, and the other half the day the job is done. First half is for labor only. That way, if he doesn't want to give you that second half, you can come in there, and again, it goes by state. Every state's different, so check the laws. You can go in there and collect all your blocks from your paver patio, all the topsoil you put in the lawn, because it belongs to you. You have the receipts for all that stuff. He doesn't. That's your product. The only thing he paid for was the labor, right? So all that stuff still belongs to you. So check your laws before you do that. End of the day, guys, an ass whooping never fails. Good luck.